live now. Jeremy Lee in the building and every guest that you ever needed. Sports cards after hours, keep the hobby heated. Updates, hobby talk like you never seen it. Sports cards live and none could ever beat it. Sports cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Welcome to another episode of Sports Cards Live with your host, Jeremy Lee.
All right, here we go, everybody. Welcome to episode number 129 of Sports Cards Live. It is Saturday night, February the 5th, 2021. My name is still Jeremy Lee. I do want to thank last Saturday's guest, Susan Lejudi. We had an amazing show, also known as Sue's Yanks Chick. Had a great show with Suze. Check it out on the channel, and we will definitely be having her back again in the future. Tomorrow night on Collectible Live, my guest will be ticket collector Burry Klein. We had a great pre-meeting the other day, and I'm really excited about that. We'll go live on the Collectible TV YouTube channel tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next week on the show, our guest will be Nick Sapiro. He's an experienced auction houser and memorabilia expert. All right, I want to shout out to channel supporter Whatnot. Check out their app for group breaks, 1-minute auctions. Buy it now. Is hosted around the clock by some of the best breakers in the business. I'm planning another 1-minute live auction stream myself there in the next few weeks, so stay tuned for that. Also want to shout out the Sport Card Expo, whose first Edmonton show will be April 15th to 17th. And also note that the Toronto show has now been scheduled for June 2nd to 5th. Check that out, sportcardexpo.com. The Mint Collective, March 25th to 27th in Las Vegas. I'm going to be at all these events, everybody. Looking forward to meeting many more of you there. Thank you to all the subscribers, viewers, and podcast listeners. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel, please go ahead, take a second and do so. All right, as always, your questions, your comments are in play. Let's get to tonight's guest. He's been here before. He's been here a few times. He doesn't need an intro like we usually do, so we will just bring him on. Tim Getsch, welcome back to Sports Cards Live. How are you doing on this fine Saturday?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here.
It's good to have you back. Last time you were here was back in April, I believe, of 2021. And we had a good episode. It was the second one within a few months, and you've been making a lot of progress through the various challenges, the pandemic challenges, the staffing challenges. And we had said at that time, and I kind of slipped my mind, to be honest, but we had said at that time that, well, listen, because you had said, we're going to be through our shipping backlog by the end of the year.
Yep.
So I said to you, all right, well, let's get you back by the end of the year, and let's see what happened. It's amazing how fast time flies, though, right? I mean, here we are. We're a year and a month later already. And so we connected and thought, okay, let's have you back and talk about sort of the progress that's been made. I know you have a lot of customers who and to be honest, I can say over the last several months, I'm hearing many more positive messages out there about COMC, many more happy customers. So it's been evident to me that you guys have made some progress, but I want to hear it from you. I want to hear sort of what progress you guys have made in terms of shipping backlog, customer service responses, these types of things that your customers are intimately involved with. So I don't know, but before we get into all that, let me give you a second. Look back on 2021, Tim. What are some of the maybe lessons that you took out of 2021, or some of the knowledge nuggets, the key things, anything that came out of 2021 that you learned and you wanted to put into process as we move forward?
Yeah, it was 2021. We definitely had a very challenging year. We were not prepared for the growth that we saw at the end of 2020 going into 2021. And then obviously having our hands tied behind our back with the pandemic just makes everything more challenging. So one of the things that we really learned from and implemented this year, and this goes to us getting caught up on our shipping, is to reflect back on what made us successful to begin with. We had the first several years, we were a very small focused team. And as we got bigger and bigger and bigger, things got a lot more complicated. So one of the biggest lessons that we learned early in the year and we implemented in our shipping department was to break the work up into much smaller units and to actually recreate that small team environment to give what we refer to as squads, units of work that they can complete certain tasks end to end without needing too many people involved. The more hands in the kitchen, the more complicated things get. So that's probably the biggest takeaway is in order to build a scalable system, we have to divide the work up into smaller chunks of work that we can have these smaller squads help with. And then that allows us to hire and scale to meet the demand.
Cool. So if you remember going into 2021, I'm thinking about, December of 2020, January 2021, the hobby overall, cards were going up in value. January was a crazy month, especially at the end of January in terms of the index of the hobby, if you will. And I remember at that time we were, as a hobby, anyone who comments on the hobby was thinking, what is 2021 going to hold? 2020 was a big year overall for values with Last Dance in the beginning of the pandemic. But then we went into 2021 and people thought, can it be better than 2020? Better. Can it be as crazy as 2020? And it was crazier. It was even crazier. So I guess overall, hobby wise, were you surprised by what the hobby experienced in 2021 at all?
Yeah, I definitely everything skyrocketed faster than I was expecting, and it really kind of shows how much potential is out there. And for so long, I always looked at things like the amount of money athletes are paid, and then like any one of those athletes could make a significant impact on our market. Like if they just wanted to invest some of their money in cards, it could change the market. And then it turns out athletes aren't the only ones that can pile on, and a ton of people joined, including many athletes. And you just see there's limited supply. It may not have seemed like that 5 years ago, but once people come back to the hobby, once people put real money into the hobby, there's a lot of opportunities.
Definitely, 100%. It's and so considering the 2021 exceeded most people's expectations in terms not just values but activity, M&A activity. We Fanatics, the Topps acquisition, which wasn't announced till January 3rd, but had obviously been in the works. So I guess the question that I have next is, or the thought, and I put it out to the chat as well. Like, are you, Tim, the chat guys, are we expecting 2022 to be even crazier than 2021, which was even crazier than 2020?
It's really hard to predict because right now I think there's a lot of things in the macro environment that are affecting the trading card industry. You can see the stock market is incredibly volatile. Cryptocurrency, other alternative investments, NFTs, they're seeing wild swings. So it's really hard to predict. There's all sorts of things that could happen with inflation. So there's things outside of the hobby that are going to have an impact. And to be honest, some of the things that are really going to have an impact are continued supply chain issues. Like, are the manufacturers going to be able to print the cards? When are they finally going to hit the market? And maybe they come out with a product, but it's after the buzz. They missed the boat. So like, there's so many different things that are really hard to control right now that could slow down some of the interest or the demand. It is exciting though to see a lot of the companies like us, PSA, others finally being able to start opening back up again. And hopefully we'll see what the market looks like when we don't have things kind of stalled out in different parts of the industry.
Speaking of supply chain, I wonder if we are underestimating, and by we, I mean the hobby narrative, if we're underestimating the impact of the challenges to supply chain.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because there was a comment left on one of the videos on my YouTube channel today. Someone mentioned that he works in the printing industry, and paper supply is it's not just sports cards, it's everything. He said this is a serious challenge right now. So I wonder if it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better, and how the card companies are going to be able to adapt to that, to potentially not being able to put out the amount of cards that they would like to.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't have a crystal ball with that. Some of the nuances I'm hearing about for the first time too. It sounds like there's not just our industry, but a lot of industries are dealing with supply chain stuff that are just like now starting to become visible.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Well, I tell you what, here's a plug for COMC. If you're looking for cards, you can't find cards to buy, there's always cards available on COMC where you can go buy them, right?
And we finally have top loaders. We have enough top loaders we had ordered, it was around the time I was on the show last, we ordered a container of top loaders, and we're supposed to get it in June. Early June. We didn't get it until January.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like less than 2 months, and it took like 8-9 months for us to get it. Yeah.
Well, things are just stuck on ships across the ocean. So okay, well, so let's get into some stuff shortly about what progress you guys did make. I think it's interesting to a lot of people. So I want to get into that, but let's just go to the chat, say hello. We got Troy here. As always, Troy, great to see you. Thanks for joining. Rocco Rosado, a good evening to you. Jake Dahl, Rich Klein. Rich Klein's on the payroll, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
Welcome to the show, Rich. Great to see you. Aries, good evening. Lucky K, Jeff McMahon, Josh Packham, Frank Estella, good evening. Michael Foley, how are you doing, my friend? Drew's Cards, Adam Holgate, WNBA is back. That's nice. Jeremy Pringle, Albert Jones, Eric is here. Mike Zier says, Tim, my processing times have improved greatly. I mean, big time. Thank you. That's a very nice comment, Mike Zier. LA32 says, Tim, kudos to you and the COMC staff for turning things around and running smooth again. We complain and bitch when we have to but we have to give credit where it's due. Thank you, LA. WNBA says, Tim looks way less stressed.
I just should give WNBA Cards a shout out. I've enjoyed winning a bunch of his auctions on eBay.
Oh, right. Very, very cool. Very cool. Josh Packham says, my Black Friday shipment request was shipped within a month, just as promised. Very nice. Johnny F., welcome to the first time live participant. Great to see you. He says, don't forget to hit the like button. Always want to say that. Johnny, I love when someone who listens to the pod comes and pipes in the chat. Welcome to the show. Todd McDonald, good evening to you. Steve Foley, good evening from South Florida. Jeremy Allen, Jeremy number 2 is the bomb. Welcome, Jeremy Allen. Albert Jones, good evening from New Brunswick, Canada. T. Jones in the house. Rich Klein says, no way 2022 can be crazier than the past 2 years. I don't know, Rich. I mean, we will see. We will see. Chris says, I expect a regression, but who knows? Says they're still overprinting. It's funny when they can't keep it on the shelves, but yet some people think they're still overprinting. It's interesting. Anthony George, much appreciated. Much appreciated. What do we got? Michael Foley, cards will continue to fluctuate. Might see a slowdown at any given time. A player or event can make it skyrocket.
Yep.
There's truth to that for sure, for sure. JW Fulcher says, who would have thought the hobby would be tied to Wall Street? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but it's economy, right? We're not talking about nickels and dimes here. So it does make sense. Again, Rich says there's no way. Rich, I don't know. I think we have to reassess at the end of this year and see, but time will tell. Time will tell. He says that so much money came into the hobby after that last downturn. Says, in fact, 4 to 5 months, about 4 to 5 months of Beckett baseball had no arrows because everything went up. Oh, so they didn't want to use all that ink. Supply chain issues, ink issues even, right? Unbelievable. What does WNBA says? All of my renovations went 30 to 40% over budget. Yeah, that's what's going on right now out there, everybody. Well, not that it's news that you have to hear here, but that is what is going on. Goudy Gum, I don't get to watch live very often. I was a critic at COMC last year, had to hop on to give Tim and his team props for grinding through the year. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the comment about stress that came up earlier, I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy to feel like you're not providing the service level you want to provide. And I think it's fair to say you had that feeling last year. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, our mission at COMC is to optimize joy for collectors. And when people put a shipment in or buy cards from us, and it takes us months upon months to get the orders out, that's not bringing people joy. And it just tears us up. We tried hard and it took a while, but we finally are now back to a much stronger place.
So let's get into that right now. Shipping backlog was a big deal last year. Lots of people were upset with how long it was taking to ship. So why don't you just talk us through and let us know sort of the progress that's been made and where we're at now?
Yeah, we were in a really tough spot. Around the time I was here last, I believe our backlog was over 6 months. That if you put an economy order in the system, we were quoting people that it would take 6 months for them to get the order. And I don't even know if we were hitting that. Like, we're probably missing that deadline more often than not back then. I said that by the end of the year, we would be caught up on our backlog. Our goal was to get to 1 month shipping for our economy service. And by the time we got to the national, we had all of our express or rushed shipping. That was where we wanted it. It was under a week, but the economy was still taking a long time. And then between Thanksgiving and Christmas, we hit that 1 month goal. In fact, around Christmas time, we were shipping orders on average in about 3 weeks. So not quite where we were prior to the whole market exploding, but that's about as good as we can do right now. And unfortunately, we took a step backwards with a combination of an entire week that Seattle was hammered with a snowstorm. We had more than half of our employees couldn't get to work. I tried to back up my hill and I couldn't even get my car out of my garage. I tried walking up the hill and literally slid back down the hill. So I was like, okay, I'm staying at home. So we lost a week there. And then obviously with the latest variant, we, along with everybody, got hammered with that. So right now we're quoting people 6 weeks to do economy. We're likely right now, if you place an order, my bet is you'd get it in about 4 weeks. And I think throughout this year, we're going to try to quote people. Our goal is to get down to 1 month or 4 weeks. We're going to quote people 4 weeks, but our goal is going to be to ship them in 2 to 3 weeks. And that's just how the economy shipping will likely work for this calendar year.
Okay, so that's some big improvement then from where we were last time that you were on the show. Sorry to hear about the setback, but I mean, there's things going on all over the place, so it's going to happen. And the new variant, of course, has been sweeping the nation. So, okay, so let's move on then and talk about customer service and the response time. Again, something that I had seen some people complaining about, that it was taking a while, too long to maybe get responses to emails and this and that. So why don't you speak to how you guys have progressed in that department?
Well, one of the things we learned and we're taking close to heart is the fact that if we tell you we're going to have the order shipped by a certain date, if we don't have it shipped by that date, we owe you a response. And if we don't give you that response, you're going to ask us, you're going to flood us, and we're not going to be able to keep up with the customer service tickets. So having our shipping service in a much better state has significantly helped our customer service team's ability to stay on top of tickets. And then also we hired and we made a dedicated effort to stay on top of tickets. At one point, again, back when things were at their worst, it might have taken a week or two just to get a response from customer service. And I get stats on a regular basis. And over the last couple of weeks, we've been averaging close to 1 hour response time on tickets. So if you send customer service a ticket, an email, within an hour, typically you're going to have a response from one of our agents. So obviously night and day difference from the time we were last chatting.
Okay. Well, that's big progress there. And again, I haven't, it's like the news wires have gone silent on COMC lately. I guess, complaining when people have something negative, they're much louder than when they have something positive. So it's a good thing that we're not hearing anything. It's nice to get a few positive sort of feedbacks in the chat today. So thanks to the people who have put that in there today. I'm going to go to some more comments, and I'm going to get to the next question. I want to welcome Daniel Rubel to the house. Fire Sports Cards, what's going on? Tampa home investors in the house, good evening. WNBA wants to know if that's a Storm shirt you're wearing, Tim.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
There we go. Hockey Guy says tons of supply chains are strained big time. Shipping a container to the U.S. from China has shot up by a crazy amount of money. That combined with port issues on the West Coast is having a big impact. Orv in the house, good evening. Very happy with my recent shipping times and service. Keep up the great work, Tim and team. That's very nice. Very nice. It's thanking you for your business on eBay. Rich lets us know we have 24 likes already. Thank you, Rich. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Foul 5 ball in the house. What is going on? Rusty Staple says, going in the right direction, Tim. Good job. Decoy says, thanks for the order email updates. Don't mind if an economy order gets delayed, but very much appreciate the update. 2022, less product releasing and more newcomers finding out about taxes. Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about people having to pay tax on their income. Who'd have thunk it? Who'd have thunk it, right? Rich, by the way, unlike a few months ago, it's nice not to play defense in the chat. Yeah. Fair comment, Rich Klein. Unlike where we were last year, for sure. Albert Jones says, my last bigger one-card purchase was from COMC. I wonder, Albert, was that on eBay? Javier says, what do we think about NFT cards? No supply chain issues there. I just don't think they're called NFT cards. A card is made out of cardboard. They're not cards. They're just NFTs, Javier. Just NFTs. But what do we think about them? I don't know. I'll start a new channel called NFTs Live, and we can talk about them there.
One of my thoughts on NFTs, you can actually think of trading cards as the original NFTs. Like the concept of an NFT is like, it's an image, basically. You're just like, oh, I own this image or a copy of this image. And that's what invented cards in the first place, is this marketing thing that people wanted to collect. So the inspiration for NFTs came from the trading card industry.
I mean, as soon as smart contracts were available on the blockchain via Ethereum, it seems to be a logical step to move towards. Lapper says, good evening, Tim. What is the discrepancy in shipping times between Canada and the US, and should Canadians expect those times to improve to Canada?
Actually, with all of the backlog that we had in the past year, I mentioned how long things were taking. When we had to send it up to Canada, it was even longer. We were having more challenges. The Canadian office had limited capacity. We had difficulty crossing the border at different times. Right now, things have smoothed out quite a bit. Our Canadian team is doing an awesome job. We doubled the size of the office. Fortunately, the neighboring office became available in the past year. We took it, expanded. That allowed us to hire and train more people. And at this point, as we did prior to the pandemic, we send trips, a truck up to Canada once a week with all of the orders going to Canadian customers. And then our team in Canada does the final prep work, puts postage, and then sends the packages out. It was taking them, in some cases, 1 or 2 weeks for each truckload to get through it. Now they're getting through it in 2 days, and sometimes as little as 1 day. So I believe we're typically going up on a Wednesday, and then most packages by Thursday are in the Canadian mail stream. So that's going to give people a way better experience up in Canada. And we expect that to continue, I think throughout this year, continue to improve. We've toyed with the idea of sending 2 trips a week up to Canada. We'll see. Maybe at some point that'll make sense.
Okay, good. Makes sense to me. Tampa Home Investor says, how this question is basically about how do you guys get honor the eBay requirements for shipping, and is that at the cost of the customers on the site itself?
We give both eBay and COMC Rushed the same experience. So our economy service is not an option for eBay. That's a separate thing. And it's very popular on COMC. But on eBay, we have to ship a lot faster. They have been very flexible with us during the pandemic. So normally we would have tried to ship within 1 or 2 business days. Right now, I believe we're quoting 5 business days. Whatever we're quoting on eBay, we're doing the same thing with rushed orders on COMC. The same teams work on it. They get out in basically the same time. So we don't actually separate eBay versus COMC rushed orders. It has to be rushed or express or priority in order to get that premium experience on COMC. And if you compare prices, the prices are equivalent on both platforms.
Okay, great stuff.
If anything, on COMC, you can get a little better deal as a COMC member, but yeah, you're not saving things by ordering on eBay.
Okay. Andrew Mark says, what is in your PC? What do you collect, Tim?
Oh, I'm going to show you some of my PC.
Oh,
I pulled some cards out here just in case that question would be asked. I am a huge Seattle Storm fan, WNBA fan. So one of my biggest pickups of all time, let's see if I can get it without too much light here. This is the gold vinyl Sue Bird PSA 10 101.
And where did you find it? Where did you find the card?
I actually found this. The person who pulled this out of a pack was on a Facebook WNBA group, and he mentioned that he got it. I expressed interest. He sent it off to get graded. He got a 10 on it, so I had to pay a premium. I would have taken it raw, but I'm really glad to have that. So I'm a big WNBA fan. I also am a huge Goran Dragic fan. I don't have any Goran Dragic cards here. You can see back there, I've got some Dragic autographs, Dragic signed shoes. I'm also a big Elon Musk and Tesla fan. So I have this. A friend of mine I play basketball with, Jason Metcalf, is an artist that does sketch cards. And he did a charity auction and offered to do a custom sketch card. So I had him draw this Elon Musk Cybertruck. I'm looking forward to getting my Cybertruck in probably a couple of years. We'll see when they're ready to go. But those are just a couple interesting things in my PC.
Cool. Oh, that's great. Thanks for showing. Mm-hmm. Rich Klein said, I can speak only for me. And for everybody who may not know, Rich Klein does work I want to say at COMC, but I know he works remotely out of Texas, and you guys are in the Northwest. So he says, I can speak only for me, but we've caught up so much in our work that for the first time in 2+ years, I'm able to spend some time working on the database, and we have others as well. Carson Crew says, I love COMC. I tell our customers to go there all the time before grading. The only site where you can compare all copies available and condition side by side to find the best deal for condition. That's a good point, actually. I like how when you're on a certain card's page on the site, and you can hover over the card and you have those 4 options that kind of show up, and one of them is see the turn over, and it turns all the cards over, not just that one. So you get them all at the same time. Joe Perot says, welcome back, Tim. COMC back just in time. Jay-Z wants to know, he says, please ask him why closing out or withdrawing my funds is so complicated. It seems like their system for this is specifically designed to keep patrons invested, or I guess to leave their money in the system.
Sure. Well, it depends how you're trying to cash out. If you're getting a PayPal cash out, it's fairly simple. If you want to get a check, now we have new Irs requirements, and that's probably some of the complication he might be referring to. We're actually working on making that a little bit more streamlined. At the moment, you have to set up an appointment with us and we collect all the information we need to for taxes. But we're working on something hopefully in the near future that will let you self-administer. So you'll be able to give us the tax information we need so that we can cut you a check or hopefully even offer some other payment options. But right now, the simplest thing is for us to send you money via PayPal. That said, if you look at our fees, we do charge a cash out fee. We charge a 10% cash out fee. We do want to encourage people to keep their money in the industry. We're here to help people enjoy collecting. And so if you keep your money circulating in the hobby, that helps make a better experience for everybody. But by all means, if you want to cash out, we do keep that 10%.
Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. Robert Gonzalez says, got my cards in. I'm from Puerto Rico. Thanks. Very cool.
Awesome.
Very cool. Roy Hobbs says, will Tim ever create a video showing the behind the scenes work at COMC? I can only imagine the logistics involved in tracking all these cards.
That is something that we've considered. We are more open to it now than we have been in the past. But we'll see. Maybe there might be something that comes out here in the near future.
So here's one. Jeremy Allen says, this is there's sort of an insult buried in this comment. He says, when is COMC going to make UX UI a priority? So he's insinuating that it isn't right now. What do you say to that?
That's a great question. So there's a lot of different things that we can apply our development resources towards. And what most people think of when they think of a website is the UI that they experience, the UX UI that you're experiencing. In order for us to actually ship a card and give you a good experience, we have a ton of infrastructure that we have to build. I refer to this as like an iceberg. You only see the top 10%. For every feature that you see on the website, we do at least 10 times as much work to implement behind the scenes to actually give you a good experience. So we haven't been able to make this a priority because we've had to focus the last several years just on the infrastructure to scale so that we can fulfill all of the consignments and the shipping that people are giving. That said, it's not forgotten. We are very much due for an update, and it is in our future plans. I don't know how much we're going to be able to do other than like beta testing this calendar year, but we are starting to lay the groundwork for doing more UI improvements. And not just a website. We also know a mobile app is long past due, and that's in the same boat. Both the UX and the mobile app will drive more traffic, drive more sales to COMC. Before we do that, we need to be able to fulfill that demand. So that's why we first laid our foundation of being able to scale our workforce. And then now that we feel much better about our ability to scale the workforce, now we can start focusing on driving more traffic, giving a better experience to the end user.
Okay. I'm gonna keep on going here. Good evening to Michael Ham. Carson Cruz says, do you guys currently offer any submit to grading options from the site?
We don't have anything live. We've been working with graders and we're close to being able to launch those. I don't know the details of when we're going to get the green light to be able to do it, but we hope to offer some options in the near future.
Okay. Rich Klein, and he says, I've also heard a lot of positives of people using store credit for eBay auctions. Mm-hmm. I hear some really good deals have been available. Mm-hmm. And I'll admit, I use that for myself. If I have store credit on COMC and there's a COMC auction on eBay, that's not a buy it now, it's the auction. Yeah, I like the ability to use my COMC store credit and not have to pay the cash out fee and use it as 100% value on eBay. So that's a great point that Rich makes. Mr. Abootman says, hi, Tim. COMC allows me to ship to a Canadian address, but cards coming back to me from the US and get charged duties in advance. Is there any way around this? Would prefer not using Ship My Cards.
Okay, so I assume he's talking about something that he's consigned and then he just wants to take it back. And unfortunately, the way our system works, we actually move the inventory all to the US, and anything we're sending back to Canada is subject to duties. If there's a significant amount, there probably is some way that we can avoid this. If you are the one that consigned the card with us initially, if it's just a couple cards, it's not a significant issue. But if there is anything significant that you're getting hit, we can look into some alternative. But the other thing you could try if you're trying to have stuff sent back to you is using an express order. An express order, we don't bring it across the border ourselves, so we don't have to pay the duties, but it is on you. So then it's your responsibility to make sure that you're filing the correct taxes, paperwork to document. And if you need any proof from us that you are the one that initially consigned the cards to us to begin with, and you're just having them returned, that's probably the easiest workaround. Again, it's only makes sense if you're doing a significant volume, but you can use the express option to have us just mail it right to you.
Okay, good. Rubber Side Down says, love seeing the PC cards. Yes. Rich Klein likes up to 43. Thank you, Rich. Albert Jones wants to know, where are your headquarters located in Canada?
We are just outside of Vancouver in a city called Burnaby.
And my buddy Barry helps you out in that office, right?
Yes.
Right on. Mr. Abootman says, my biggest pet peeve about COMC is not having an indicator that lets me know who will and will not accept offers. A lot of steps required to make an offer only to find out the seller is not taking.
That's an interesting idea. We could do something simple to say that someone is not accepting offers. It gives people an incentive to accept offers too. That's a good point. I'll
want to take a second and make a note, or?
Well, this is probably something that will wait for a UX improvement. We probably aren't going to add anything like that to our existing website. Like I said, we actually want to invest in an entirely, like a full website rewrite. And so things like this, these user experience improvements will likely go into that. Yeah.
Okay. Tampa Home says, 2 really important questions. Is there an app or mobile-friendly version coming in the works? Mm-hmm. And I know there's a fee that can be paid for better photos, but is this in the works for all cards?
Great questions. Actually, there. So yes, I already commented on the website rewrite. It will be a mobile-friendly website when we do that. Also, mobile app. Those. We're mainly right now laying some of the groundwork that is going to be built on top of. It's not visible to you guys, but if you know anything about tech, we're building a bunch of microservices that we're going to then layer all of the mobile app and website on top of. And then as far as the photos, we are looking at improving some of our imaging technology. It's not going to be so we use a variety of different technologies in order to capture images. The photos are kind of premium, very tedious. If you look at the photos, the best quality photo you can possibly get is of a raw card. If there's any plastic between the lens and the card, it's going to degrade the quality. So if you look at the black border, those are raw cards. And because it's a raw card, we have to be very careful. We have to be slow. It's labor intensive, but it gets the best experience. We are working on some other technology so that we can give better images, but at scale. So I don't have anything more to talk about other than it is something that we are looking at, and we'll see how soon that will be available for all the cards.
All right. I'm going to throw this one up. I'm going to just talk through it because Peter Collect talks about, maybe adding a filter for player position, but as you mentioned, a whole rewrite. So that would come at that point in time. Mm-hmm. Rich Klein says, as a person who has done database work for 2 different hobby entities, and Rich worked with or for Beckett in the past, the work is just amazing. So that's a nice comment there. Jade says, first time post. Welcome, Jade. With StarStock stopping raw card intake, do you think COMC raw intake will increase?
I imagine some of that is coming our direction for sure. I think they came up with some innovative ideas, and it is a hard thing to get a company off the ground and to do the business that we're doing. So I know they took a good stab at it, but it looks like the complexity for raw cards was a little bit too much for them to figure out how to do it profitably. We've been doing this now 16 years, and we continue to invest in our technology. So we welcome any of that business. So feel free to use our service. And if anything, we're doubling down on, as I just mentioned, we're looking at improving our imaging technology, and we're looking at scaling our service to take on more cards.
Okay, good stuff. JW Fulcher, related to StarStock, says, did the PWCC and eBay fallout affect your business at all?
I haven't paid close enough attention to be able to say if anything was specifically PWCC related. PWCC was in a very different segment of the market than we've been in. And so we did anticipate seeing more high-end cards than we had previously. I haven't looked at the numbers to see if the timing is correlated, but we have seen a lot of larger dollar items that we didn't used to see. But some of that is just the whole market is more valuable now. So I don't know that it's necessarily PWCC specific.
Yeah, fair enough. Rich Klein and Rich, I just bring this comment up because I don't know who's Jeremy number 1 and who's Jeremy number 2. If somebody could clarify that, I'd appreciate it. Adam Lynn says, one thing I've always wondered is whether does COMC keep store credit balances separate from operating expenses? And I think this question is becoming popular right now because of the Mark's Card PSA group submission debacle. So
great question. As I said earlier, our mission is to optimize joy for collectors. If we ever were in a situation where we couldn't fill cash outs, that's contrary to our mission. We've been doing this for 16 years. We keep meticulous records. We know exactly where everything stands. And so we've never had an issue with being able to fill store credit, and we don't anticipate ever being in that situation.
All right. Tampa Home Investors gives some advice. He says, never buy COMC cards on eBay unless they're auctions. Go directly to the website, sign in, and you get all the cards cheaper. You can also make offers that way. Now, I got to say, I agree with this. It makes a lot more sense. If I see a COMC card on eBay that is a buy it now, I right away in my head, I know I can just log into my COMC account, find that card, and get it for cheaper. And I believe the reason that it's cheaper on your site is because the eBay price builds in the eBay fees. Is that right?
Yeah.
Simple as that, really. So you want to save eBay fees, buy it from COMC on the COMC website.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Canadian Sports Card Collector says, love COMC for hockey cards. Lots of good deals from motivated sellers. Put an order in during Christmas with the cheapest shipping, and I've received it already. Well, that's great. And Zigra Trubbish, welcome to the live, says, never watched one of these. I'm in Scotland, can't sleep, but great to see live. Tim is a really nice chap who I have talked to at shows a few times, had a COMC account for a long time. Well, welcome to the show, Zigra Trubbish. Okay, lots of great stuff in the crowd. Rich Klein, okay, I am number 1. Okay, thank you, Rich. I appreciate that very much. Inglorious, if trying to ship cards home on COMC, does it take a few days to show up as processing? I don't think it does, does it?
When you're using the economy shipping service, it won't say that we have started processing your order until we have an internal thing that we call printing. It's basically preparing groups of orders that our squads are going to work on. And for economy, it usually takes it may even take a week or two before it shows up as in process. With rushed orders, within one business day, it should show up as in process. But yes, it will take some time until it's assigned to a squad and the squad is going to start preparing the order.
All right, good stuff. Mike Zier says, while this show has been on, 6 more cards dropped on my COMC. I think that means you sold 6 more cards, Mike. I think that's what we mean by that.
Maybe they just got added to his account. So usually around this time of day, whatever work we did, and today's a Saturday, I'm sure a lot of people worked on some of the cards, and at the end of the day, we start depositing them into people's accounts, and so maybe that's what just happened.
All right. Joe Pro says, and we're gonna. He said he's basically asking about the eBay authentication deal and does it represent an opportunity? We have a special topic for that, Joe. So hang tight on that one, and everybody else will definitely be talking about that. Rich says it means we processed cards today. Good stuff, Mike Zier. Yep, added to your account. Right on. And almost at the bottom of the comments until. This one right here, Facebook user says, on the eBay thought, I really enjoyed the discounted eBay listings in December and January. Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to know, back to the progress made in 2021 on shipping and customer service. So now that you have really caught up on these things, what area and processes are you going to turn your attention to in 2022? Now, I realize and recognize that you're still going to have to put resources and attention to keeping these sort of cadences in place and consistent. But is there anything else between sort of shipping, customer service, listing cards for consigners? And so we have that, and then we have the improved user experience in the app. Is there anything else in between there that you guys are going to focus resources on in 2022?
Yeah, actually, I alluded to it. We're going to take a lot of what we learned in scaling our shipping department, and we're going to focus that on the processing side, listing, or the cards that are being consigned. We've already taken the team and divided the team into smaller squads. And actually, one of the things that you're going to actually see here probably within a matter of days or weeks is an update to our submission wizard. This is going to help us process cards more efficiently. So one of the things what we're going to do when you choose a service level, instead of just saying, I want to send something through our standard service, or I'm going to send a bunch of things through select, and then you put all these random things in a box and send it to us with that service level, we're going to ask that you tell us what type of thing you're going to put in that. So we're going to, here in the near future, not allow you to mix, say, a comic book with trading cards, or we'll ask you to separate out graded cards from raw cards. You can still put them in the same package, but within the package, you're going to have multiple different batches and they'll be separated. And that's going to allow us to send those items to a specific squad. And that squad is going to be optimized for that, handling those types of items. Where today we get these mix of items and things have to go to multiple different squads. It slows down the whole processing. So in 2022, we're going to make a big push on scaling our ability to list cards more efficiently. You've already seen a lot of the times improve. Right now, we're still telling people 4 months. We're going to drive that number down. We want to cut that number in half. And then we also want to give you tools to make it possible for your items to get in your account even faster. So there will be some additional tips and tricks that we inform you of that can help you send things to us in a way that is easier on our team. And then ultimately those cards have a better chance of getting into your account even earlier. And so that's a big push. Just like we spent most of last year scaling our shipping team, we added a whole new building. Now we've taken a lot of stuff that was in our headquarters that was for shipping. That's been moved down to our new building. And then our headquarters is focused just on processing cards. So we're rearranging the office here and designing it to be optimized for the cards that people are submitting to us. So that's the area that we're really going to focus on improving this year. And then again, it's these foundational things. We have to be able to ship cards. We have to be able to list cards. then we can open up the floodgates and welcome your business. So this year, while our team is optimizing, training, getting ready to scale, we're also laying down the foundation for services, technology that can scale to meet the demand. And then likely towards the end of this year, you may, as I mentioned earlier, start seeing some maybe a beta website or a beta mobile app. And then I would anticipate our focus maybe in 2023 is really scaling the business. But again, we got to have the foundation, because we don't want what we had before, where we got hit with more business than we could handle. And I don't care how slick a website or an app looks. If we can't give you the cards, if we can't list your cards, you're going to hate the app. So we have to do the foundational pieces first. We've got shipping under control. We got processing. We're going to make sure that it can handle the increased scale, and then make sure our tech, and then we'll give you the amazing experience that's going to welcome your business.
All right. I like it. I'm going to keep going through some comments here. Canadian Card Collector says Upper Deck ePack cards can be sent directly to COMC. Have any other companies approached you about the same service?
We have talked on and off with, we've actually alluded to or had conversations with every manufacturer about, hey, we can do this. Different companies have had other initiatives that they're trying to do. We'll see how things pivot. It'll be interesting, especially with Fanatics taking a fresh look at the market, wanting to innovate and do things differently. Maybe there's an opportunity there. But we've made it clear to all of the manufacturers that we're more than happy to offer similar services for whatever is basically cards, singles going directly to consumers. That's our business. That's what we've optimized for, and we welcome helping manufacturers in that process.
Okay, good stuff. John Wee says, love the show. Thank you, John. Would be great to connect with Tim and see if COMC would benefit using our Center Stage app. I'm sure the submission wizard could benefit. But below here, Jeff, I guess a COMC representative says, send us a message. We'll pass your information along. So that's been handled in the chat. Andrew Marks, here's one for you, Tim. He says, will COMC be a first mover and allow trade only, single or multi, or cash and trade?
Yeah.
This may sidestep the new IRS rules as it can reduce cash changing hands.
Yes. So from day one, we offered store credit as a way for you to buy and then or sell and then use that store credit to buy, so that you don't ever have to see the cash. So it's not as efficient as a direct swap via a trade, but you can obviously today use the store credit that you earn to go buy other things. And unless you cash it out, or until you cash it out, you're not subject to the IRS taxes. So that's in place today. And I am definitely interested in enabling trades as well. That's going to be part of a future thing. Again, that would be related to a website rewrite. That's significant functionality. The only things that you're going to see this year on the website are relatively minor changes. For example, the change I mentioned to the submission wizard. There may be some other things that we released that we actually already built previously, but never released. But in general, we're not trying to make major investments into the current website.
Okay. Adam Lind says, Fanatics seems to intend to operate their own marketplace at some point. Any comment on how you might compete or cooperate with them? Any contact between these organizations?
That's a great question. I don't know what their specific plans are. And we've been more than happy to work with any company that's trying to improve the trading card industry. In the past, we worked with Amazon. Obviously, we're a big partner with eBay right now. If Fanatics created something that we could help out with, we're more than happy to talk. But I don't have any insight. I don't know any specific plans.
Okay. Here's a great question from Scott. He says, hi, Tim. I'm assuming that your team has dealt with burnout over the last 2 years. How are you handling this to try to prevent burnout from your team?
That is a great question. So we definitely, I've tried to, especially with our customer service team, have regular meetings with them and express how much I appreciate. So I know appreciation can help with some of the stress levels, but as far as making sure people are taking time off, making sure we're giving people flexible work hours, we're trying to help like people take care of their mental health. Like all these things are super important, because any employee that we lose is a major setback. We really value the experience that our employees have, and we want to make sure that our employees can stay here for the long haul. We want people to make a career out of working at COMC. So we try very much to be sensitive. We don't try not to push people too hard. I know going into Black Friday, people were working tons of overtime all this summer to try to catch up. People are working tons of overtime. And actually, one of the things that we did between Thanksgiving and Christmas is turn off overtime, like go spend time with your families. We encouraged people over the holidays to use their vacation time, take time off. But yeah, it's important to make sure that people stay healthy.
So staying on the topic of people, I want to ask you this. You've obviously grown quite a bit over the last couple of years, and I believe you, from the sounds of it, you're continuing to hire, you're building out the teams where you need to add resources. Do you at COMC, do you put any special value on candidates that have hobby experience versus those that say may not have hobby experience?
It's always preferable to have employees that have hobby experience. The knowledge, the experience that they can bring to COMC, regardless of what role they play at COMC, just adds extra benefit. We do have several openings. They're not necessarily published right now. Some of them will be officially added to comc.com/jobs. But we are always looking for people that want to handle cards. We have trading card specialists that handle the cards that are being processed. Those are always open, but we are now going to be opening up some more traditional corporate jobs, whether it's account management, more managerial positions, marketing, tech. There's a variety of different jobs that we're actually going to be able to hire people that can work remote as well. So physical handling of cards obviously has to be either here or up in Canada, here being the Seattle area. But there are a lot of other related jobs, even if you just like Rich works remotely and helps with a lot of our database stuff, making sure our catalog is fully populated and clean. There's a variety of jobs like that we're also going to be adding here in the near future. So lots of different things. If you are interested in joining COMC, send your resume to hr@comc.com. We don't have to have a position open. You can send your resume, tell us what you can do, and hopefully we'll be able to find an opportunity for you.
Okay, good stuff, man. I appreciate that. And there we go. Soliciting for employees during an episode of Sports Cards Live. No, can't do much better than that. All right. T. Jones says, serious question. Why are the shipping costs high relative to the volume you're doing? So
yeah,
I'll let you take it away, but I wonder how T. knows what volume you're doing. I'm not sure if that came up earlier and I missed it.
Well, so if you look at our economy shipping, we start with a $5 base fee, and then the per item fee is hidden to buyers, but technically we're charging 25 cents. Usually that's collected at the time of sale. That fee has not changed in 15 years. That is a loss leader. We do not make money at 25 cents. So you're not going to get cheaper shipping than that. Especially with the state of the labor industry and supply chains, everything else, that's an insanely cheap price. For rushed shipping right now, we're charging 50 cents extra per card for us to rush the card out. Right now, it's because labor is at a premium, and hopefully, as maybe the economy straightens out a little bit, as we're able to more consistently staff, then I hope that we can decrease that price for rush shipping. But even economy shipping, we're trying to improve those times so that it's a better experience. But there's probably going to be some sweet spot in between kind of the rushed price and the economy service. So maybe we can do something better there. I don't have any specifics about when that might happen, but I would love to see us offer a service faster than our economy service and cheaper than our rush service.
Yeah. Jahan says, I need a job in this hobby to fund my hobby. It's getting insane. I hear that. Jim Goodfellas, hello, friends. Always like to watch when he's on here, being you, Tim. Welcome back to the show, Jim. Scott says, Jeremy, you need to get a kickback from Tim if he hires anyone from this show. I'm not a recruiting agency, but hey, let me know, Tim. I'll shoot you an invoice, no problem.
So to be fair, we do usually have a referral program. So we actually usually give people like store credit for sending us hires.
So if anyone does apply, let them know you heard about the opening on Sports Cards Live. And if I see something hit my store credit account, but don't worry, Tim, first one's on me, all right? Okay. I wanted to go down. There's a comment here that I wanted to bring up. Right here, Mr. Abootman says, Tim, have you ever considered partnering with Card Ladder to overlay their sales data? Would love to see some sort of integration.
Yeah. That's a great question. That's not the first time someone has pitched that. I think it's an interesting idea. I'm open to something like that. That's, again, something that we wouldn't likely do with the current version of our website, but that very likely could fit nicely into future website plans.
Right on. Good stuff. And good evening to you, Chad Shipper, everybody. If you are ever in the Florida area, make sure you check out the Lazy Flamingo restaurant where Chad Shipper GMs, and we'll get to more of that maybe later tonight. Okay. Sean Robb, this is a question that Sean puts up. He says, will there be an opportunity to purchase private shares of COMC one day? And the reason I bring this up now is because I was going to ask you, Tim, with all the action, all the M&A activity that's going on. I mean, last time you were on, you said that you're not for sale. Mm-hmm. Maybe you'd think about it at $100 million. And I know it's like you were just putting out like the not for sale price. I do that with cards sometimes. It's like, listen, it's not for sale, but if you want to pay me this much, I might let it go, but it's really not for sale. So please don't say you'll take it. But I feel like you're that way with this company, which is your baby. But that said, there's lots of activity, lots of M&A sort of. I mean, I'm speculating that there's lots of M&A activity going on, sort of under the whatever right now. People aren't, it's being on the down low. There's just, hey, all of a sudden Fanatics bought Tops, and there was very little leak, if any, of that. So there are definitely other negotiations and discussions going on. My question is, somewhat related to Sean's question, is, are you being targeted still? Are you being targeted for a buyout, as an acquisition, to partner up, to take on investments? Sort of what's the activity been like for you on that level?
Well, over the years, we've had a lot of consistent interest in COMC, and in the last couple of years, that interest has definitely increased. One of the things that we learned over the last 2 years, we tripled the company or more in 2 years. That is very painful being a bootstrapped company. It would have been nice to have investors that could help, like, pony up and speed up the process and help us with different things. So one of the things I mentioned this year, we've had to talk, like, maybe this year can't be quite as crazy as the last couple of years. Yeah, it might slow down, but it's still going to grow faster than it used to, faster than before 2020. And that's where we're starting to see that the growth that we're projecting in the future, long-term growth, is at a much faster pace than we had done. We 10x'd from 2010 to 2020. We took our time. We've been bootstrapped this whole time. And that was a pace that we felt comfortable with. Since 2020 to now, this has been breakneck pace. And so now we are very looking to be very strategic with future growth opportunities. We know we need to scale up our business. I've laid out some of the plans that we have in the works, but that's just like this year, next year. Beyond that, there's a lot more that the industry is going to need from us. And we're open to a variety of different ways of making that happen. As a collector, as someone who really appreciates every single one of our customers, I hope that someday our customers can have equity in COMC. I'd rather that than some random investment banker, like a hedge fund, whatever. Like that's, I would prefer that we be able to let each of our customers enjoy the upside potential. But the specifics of how that happens, when it happens, I don't know, but that's my heart. That's where I hope that we can be.
All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. I'm gonna switch it up now, and let's talk about some hobby stuff. And actually, we'll kick it off with T-Dot's comment right here, where he says, do you feel grading will always have a human element? Now, there's a lot of discussion in the chat I'm seeing a lot of flashing on your side of the screen there. I don't know if that's just me or everyone can see that, but we'll just talk through it. So, we lost him. Okay, hold on a second here. Tim, I don't know if you can see me or hear me, but you're going to have to come back in. One sec, everybody. Let's let Tim come back in here shortly. Hopefully we don't have to wait too long for him. But T-Dot, your question, and I see Rich mentions it below, where Rich says that, there will always be some level of human interaction with grading, if not because somebody has to slab it. But even Rich, I wonder if that could be done by robotics at some point, without doing any damage to cards. That would definitely be interesting. But Tim, what are your thoughts on grading and the potential for there to be AI grading?
There's certain parts of grading that could definitely be assisted by AI. Things like centering. Obviously, I think AI could do a better job than humans. But there's a lot of parts of grading that are very subjective. And I don't think AI is really that close to being able to figure out eye appeal, or even some of the things like notches, or differentiating between parts of a design versus a flaw on the card. There's also a lot of things that are really hard to see digitally, but it's easy to see when it's in your hand. So for example, if there's a light crease, if you get the light on it just right, you can see that. You have to give that data to a computer in order for the computer to see that. So you would have to have almost like a video of the card, and some of it is possible, but it's probably not right around the corner. At this point, I think it's going to be AI assisting humans just to help speed up the process. But I doubt that it's going to be able to be fully automated in, I don't know, I'll say this decade.
Okay. Could definitely could be. I've heard of some things that are in the works out there in our space, and time will tell what comes through and can really gain market share and maybe disrupt a little bit. So we will see for sure. Let's talk about eBay and their new authentication process, policy, service that they've initiated here, where any raw card valued at over $750 is now being authenticated, I believe, through a partnership with CSG. I think it's CSG.
Yeah.
So I guess the question for you is, what do you think of this? Do you think that it's going to, first of all, how does it impact your or COMC's auctions on eBay? And what do you think of this this new process that they've rolled out here, or service, let's say, that for now is a free service, but when they announced it, they did say, for a limited time. So there's definitely going to be a fee associated. But can you just sort of speak generally about your thoughts on this new service that they're offering?
Well, I think it's important service to offer because the industry has changed significantly over the last couple of years. Things are selling for a lot more. It's attracted more nefarious characters. So I think it's great that they've stepped up and they've tried to help clean up the trading card space and make it safe for people that are going to spend a lot of hard-earned money on these auctions or fixed price listings for that matter. For us, it actually has been fairly simple to integrate. We are already using their global shipping program for people that bought outside of the country. So the way they seem to have implemented is really just to tell us, hey, don't ship directly to the customer, ship to this address instead. They're going to do the authentication and then send it on its way. So it seems pretty, there's probably some kinks they're working through, but for the most part, it's worked. I did notice when they launched it, because there was a tweak that we had to change in our API integration, but we got that working within a day or so and sent off our first cards through that service. So I think it's a good value add. Yeah.
Okay. And so how are your eBay auctions going lately?
Our eBay auctions are great. We did an experiment over December and January where we actually allowed people to just pay 50 cents and then we didn't charge the $3.50 minimum. That allowed us to see a variety of new things get listed on eBay. We're learning from that. We turned that off, or it kind of expired on February 1st. So at the moment, the only way you can get stuff on eBay auctions is to upgrade it to Elite. It costs $2 unless your item is already Elite. And then again, we're still not charging the $3.50 for those. So it's still better than it was before. By all means, use that service for any of the cards on COMC that we consider Elite. Regarding the authentication service, one of the things that we actually like about it is it helps limit any potential returns. So over the years, we've had a variety of expensive cards. People take possession and then decide they want to cancel it. Now going through this authentication service, it's an extra vote of confidence and helps limit some of that. So I think we're going to start seeing a better experience from our side and from the customer using that service. We're going to continue to look at the data, how the auctions were used, how having thousands of auctions at one time affected the behavior. We're going to see what makes sense going forward. There's probably going to be a number of enhancements that we make. I did say that we're not going to make any significant changes to COMC, but there likely will be some tweaks. For example, for how you submit something to auction, we may allow you to choose how long you want an auction to go live or which day of the week you want it to go live. We do want to give you a better experience. Right now, it's kind of a crapshoot when you send something to auction. We randomly assign a day of the week for you. But maybe if you're sending a big ticket item, you really want that item to end on a Sunday. Maybe you want it to be a 10-day auction, or you want it to be a 4 to 5-day auction. So we're going to let you eventually control some of those settings. Again, I don't know how soon you're going to see that, but that likely will be prior to us completely rewriting the website. But our experience with eBay has been amazing. They've been very responsive to us. We regularly communicate with them. And I think their service for auctions is something that I personally don't really want to have to replicate. Like the liability of an auction is eBay's providing a value to us. And so us not having any visibility into the bids, us not having to make sure our services are live at the last second of an auction. Like those liabilities, eBay, they've been doing this for decades. They do a great job. They also have all the eyeballs. And that's what you really need for an auction is the eyeballs. So we've enjoyed using their auction service as well as listing fixed price items on eBay. And right now in 2022, I think you'll see some more experimentation with the ways that we allow you to do auctions on eBay.
So you mentioned that the time at which your card may be listed on eBay is sort of random.
Mm-hmm.
With PWCC no longer selling on eBay, and PWCC used to have, it was an event, and I was doing live eBay ending auction coverage for them on Sports Cards Live, and really enjoyed doing those types of shows. I still do it for them, but on their own platform. Are you would you ever do something like that where you actually made an event out of the eBay auction schedule? Maybe, a Saturday or a Sunday night ending with cards that are maybe special. I remember a while back, running into you at the National. This is probably back in 14, 15. You were doing you had you were kind of trying out something new called the Vault.
Yeah.
Which was before vaulting services were all the rage in our hobby. And that was for sort of higher end cards. Now I think you kind of, you've kind of pushed out to the side, focusing on other things, but kind of reminds me of that. Would you consider doing something like that on eBay moving forward with your consigners items?
Yeah, actually, I mentioned the experiment that we did in December and in January really enabled a lot of low-end items. We want to continue doing more experiments and even focus on much higher-end items, $10,000 plus items. So we're likely going to be soliciting those items. If you have high dollar items, big ticket items, some of those cornerstone cards, we will likely be opening up some option and doing some kind of an event. I don't know when, but we will let you know. Keep an eye on our blog, or if you want to reach out to us and say, hey, keep me in mind, let us know. And then when we do those experiments, we'll make sure that you have an opportunity to be incorporated.
Okay, good. That could be exciting for sure. Steven Sass says, I've been buying a bunch of golf cards from COMC lately. I think I need an intervention. Doesn't make sense to buy one card only with shipping rates, but very reasonable for multi-cards. It's always been that way for me. I remember the very old days on COMC when it was $3 flat. And I thought, how are they doing this? The human requirement just to pick them is more than $3 for one card. So that was a big loss leader for a while. But Steven's onto something. It definitely makes sense to let your cards add up and then ship them out all together. That's the way I do it. Skeppy, good question here. And I don't know the answer to this. Let me rephrase. My hunch is that, eBay, they ran their data, they ran their metrics, and 750 was kind of where on the curve it made the most sense to them. And I don't know how they assessed it, but that's where they landed. Do you have any insight, Tim, why 750 is the threshold to start and 250 later?
I don't. It would be speculation, but I suspect it has to do with the amount of fees that they're collecting and then needing to cover the cost of it. And that was probably where it made sense and it has a chance to be profitable.
Okay. Yeah, that's about all we can do is speculate on that. Carlisle Road, a really interesting comment here. He says, I want so badly to shoot at Tim's miniature basket on his door. I noticed that earlier as well, Carlisle. Albert Jones asks me any mail day stuff this year. Well, I mentioned Chad Shipper's restaurant in Florida before. So Chad did send me a bunch of unopened packs of Three's Company because on a prior episode, I mentioned that it would be nice to pull Jack Tripper, Ralph Furley rookie card. And so thanks to Chad Shipper for hearing that and sending me what seems to be about 16 or so packs of Three's Company cards, which maybe we'll open up later on tonight. That's about it for me, Albert Jones. I did, you know what? I will show you guys one card quickly that I've mentioned it before on the show. If you guys have watched this show before, you know that I have my personal collection and I have my inventory. And sometimes I go shopping in my own inventory. Well, I just bought this card for myself. Money didn't change hands, but I give myself good credit, indefinite credit. But I added this to my personal collection. It's a Jaromir Jagr Upper Deck premium swatches out of 25 with a nice piece of patch. And I actually collected this set. And this was in a collection that I bought, and I didn't have this card yet. So one more to the set. I think it puts me up at like 30-something cards from that set. Rich Frank says, keep it 100. I love COMC. Very nice comment from Rich Frank. Yes, Adam Lind, Three's Company cards, right? No doubt, no doubt. And Troy says, just love COMC Marketplace for selling all my extra cards I'm not wanting. Thanks, Tim, for your service. Very nice. Thank you, Troy. Let's talk a bit about, there was another bit of news that came out in the last week or two, Tim, that I think this news has made people ask a lot of questions of other companies, including the question that came up earlier tonight about kind of commingling funds on deposit with operating funds. And so StarStock's obviously gone through a bit of a bit. They've gone through some challenges. I don't know. I've seen what everyone else has seen. I don't know the behind the scenes detail, but I do know that, they've got to do some pivoting. They're doing some pivoting. They've had some layoffs. They've stopped intaking raw cards. Listen, I don't want to get into what's going on there too much because we would be speculating for the most part. And you mentioned a little bit about it earlier that one of the things that you're thankful for is that you don't have any external investors to report to answer to. But at the same time, you have the challenge where you maybe don't have that. You can't turn on the tap and bring in investment funds either. I guess the way I want to take this is, should the hobby be looking at all of the companies in the space and wondering, just how healthy they are? And is it a fair, is the StarStock experience, is it fair to kind of look at that and maybe now project it elsewhere into the hobby and say, is anyone else? We had the Marks Cards thing. These guys are behind whatever. I've heard $1 million in fees. They just don't have the money. So, what do you think? Are these a couple things? Do you think that this is an issue that we're going to hear more events of? But also, and this is kind of my take, when these things happen, like if you look at what happened with Enron and WorldCom, these were issues that affected investors worldwide. And what came out of it really was the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which brought into play all these new controls that publicly listed companies have to deal with. So what happened was somebody did something wrong or did something bad, and it affected everybody. Really, some would say for the better, some might say for the worse, but it impacted things for the better because the system tightened up. And I wonder if PSA is going to make changes to the group subbing because of Mark's cards. Maybe the StarStock issue will be a lesson for other people to learn from. So I feel like these events should strengthen the hobby moving forward. Even that case of Pokemon that wasn't real, that wasn't authentic. That's going to cause systems to tighten up, people to become more to apply more scrutiny to everything. So all that said, I've been rambling here for about 4 minutes now. I'll just turn it over to you. What do you think of all that?
So for sure, over the last several years, there's been a lot of new players in our industry, and it's hard to create businesses. Anytime someone starts a business, it's very, very challenging. The odds are stacked against you. With services that are very similar to ours, like StarStock, I've always been very concerned that I don't want people to have a bad taste of our type of service. And it sounds like they're going to do everything to honor getting cards shipped to people. They're going to honor the store credit. They're going to do the right thing. And I commend them for that. And I think that's very important for the hobby. It's something that we've taken very seriously. And I've always thought a lot about that. People are trusting me with their cards. I want to make sure that they can always get access to them. They can always get access to their funds. So any service like ours that's handling people's cards for them, it's super important that you think very strategically about the long-term success of the hobby, not just your business. And it's good that they're taking an opportunity to pivot now. Well, they still have maybe a runway to do something different and still maintain a reasonable experience. Now, maybe you can't continue using them the way you did in the past, but you should still be able to get your cards back. There even services like eTops, which was decades ago, you can still get your eTops cards. Like, they tried something new, and I welcome that people are trying new things. We want that opportunity to bring new people into the industry, to think about the industry a little bit differently, but then recognize that not every business model is going to work. There's going to be things that you experiment with. You just mentioned the vault service that we offered probably 7 years ago, and then we failed fast. We realized that it made things too confusing. We had two different price points, two different fee structures, and it was better to just merge all of our focus into our core website. And it sounds like StarStock is going to do their pivoting. They're going to figure out what's the right fit so that you can create a profitable business. While I love the industry and I wish I could do it for free, we have to be profitable, because I don't have unlimited money to just pay people to do things. So we've always had to be very careful with the services. And I know people sometimes complain about the fees. We charge them so that we can continue offering these services. And with other businesses, when you're starting a business model, often you'll start with a promotional service. We, at one point, offered processing for 10 cents. We learned within like 6 months that we couldn't keep up with the business, and we had to increase the fee that we charge people for processing. StarStock started with free processing, and then they had to add a fee to it. Like, companies always have to pivot and adapt, especially when they're young and they're developing their business model. So I hope anybody else that's doing a similar service to ours, any consignment services, you're taking notes, you're making sure that you're taking care of customers. As far as companies like Mark's Cards and what happened with PSA, I guess we could end up with similar things. We don't charge people until we deposit cards into their account. And that's why when people have a negative balance on COMC, we stop putting cards in their account and encourage them to fund their account so that we don't have to carry so many balances. But we have nobody with $1 million balance with us. We're in a very different space than other companies. But I think this is just one of those things where we're in a space that's exciting. There's lots of money, lots of new ideas. Some businesses are going to fail. And it is a wake-up call for people. As you're looking at services that you're going to try, pay attention to how mature the business is. And with us, from when we first started, I always recommended people start with the cards they didn't care about. And I don't remember who it was. Someone commented, I love COMC. It's a great way to get rid of the cards I don't want. Whenever trying a new service, you always want to try them out with things that you're not going to be out on the street if things go south. And then over time, as companies earn their reputation, as you trust them, then you give them better and better things. And that's what we've seen at COMC. People have trusted us, and now they're sending us higher dollar items. They're sending us more items. And we always want to really make sure that people they don't feel pressured into using the service. They feel comfortable using the service and know that we're going to do everything we can to take good care of people. But I think all the startups in our industry definitely take this as an opportunity to look at your models and make sure that you're going to take good care of the customers, even if you have to pivot your business model.
Okay. All right. Appreciate that. Going to go to some more questions, comments. Scott says, what are your thoughts about allowing for fractional sales on higher end cards listed on COMC in the future?
That's an interesting idea. I mean, prior to other companies offering fractional, people used to come to us with this idea. Since other companies have started doing fractional services, I haven't actually I haven't considered COMC doing it because now I see what it takes to do this. Because once you start doing fractional, that becomes a security. And if anything, what's probably more likely is that we would integrate with another service that does this. So that could be a way that we maybe allow them to do all the legal things to set up. I think you need like a whole LLC. There's all sorts of stuff you have to do to make these the fractional shares. And there are some good services that that allow you to convert a high-end item into a security. And just like we in the past allowed you to send stuff off for grading, we expect to do that in the future. It may make sense for us to integrate another service that offers that fractional piece. And I've always wanted to be a neutral party in our industry, trying to be a platform that welcomes innovation and does integration with other services. So I'm more than open to doing something like that, where we maybe allow people to use their COMC store credit to buy shares or to take a card on COMC and convert. But it does look like there's quite a bit of stuff that needs to be done to make something fractional the right way.
Yeah, I mean, I work with Collectible, one of the leaders in fractional in the space, and I mean, it seems to be covered right now, but integrating something like that could definitely be fun, and I'd love to hear about it if it were to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I want to bring up this. So just quickly to Dennis Leclerc, we did talk about this. It's a possibility trading on the site. Tim mentioned it could be possible. Mm-hmm. Skeppy has this one here, Tim. He says, when I receive COMC cards, it appears that the card is located and inventoried as a bin location system. How do you see this scaling in the market, and how far behind is the competition versus COMC?
You're not correct. I'll leave it at that. Our system is very elaborate, and we are quite a ways ahead of any competition. We designed our system from day one, knowing that we were going to have many different people own every different item anywhere in our inventory. Anyhow, we've had to build a lot of things that are not public. Maybe we'll show how some of this works in the future, but that I mentioned is part of the iceberg. You guys see the top 10%, 90% is all the systems that we have to have in place to keep track of ownership, location. There's a lot that goes into managing. Now, I mean, there's 27 million items actively for sale on COMC, and many, many more beyond that. We have a lot that we keep track of for the Upper Deck EPAC system as well. And many cards are not even for sale. They're sitting in people's accounts. So we're probably north of 50 million cards that we're managing right now.
All right. Sounds good to me. Okay. Let's go to, you sent over some graphs to me. I wanted to talk because it was really interesting. We had a few interesting kind of market effects lately. You had Joe Burrow winning the big game, and what happens to his cards on COMC after winning a big game? What happens to Patrick Mahomes cards after losing a big game? What happens to Tom Brady cards after announcing retirement? All these things that I think are really interesting. You've actually got some really timely data at your fingertips that might provide some insight. So we talked about this. You went away, you put together some graphs on a few of these players that I just mentioned. I'm going to share the screen, and I'm going to let you speak through them and let us know kind of what they mean and what happened during these events. So I'm going to go ahead, and we're going to start with Tom Brady. So to everybody who's watching, this is the graph that Tim prepared. So we've got Actually, I'll let you explain
Sure.
it. Tim. What do the orange and the blue lines mean?
Yeah, so I wanted to see if the amount of money people were spending was the tell, or just the fact that cards were exchanging hands gave us some insight. So the blue line is the number of transactions that happened, and the orange is the amount of money that's spent. I had to normalize the data. So really what I did is took all the money that was spent over the course of the football season, and each week I just figured out what percentage was spent in that week, or what percentage of items were exchanged hand in that week. So it's all these charts are I got rid of the axis because it doesn't really mean anything. This is just showing you the trends of interest in Tom Brady cards and how that changed week to week. And you can see towards the end of the season, even after his loss, there's still sustained interest because Tom Brady's in the news, because he retired, because he's Tom Brady. So, not surprisingly, we've seen an uptick in Tom Brady sales, both the number of items that sold and then the total dollars that people are spending on Tom Brady cards as well.
Yeah, and I believe the rumors about the retirement came out right around here. So as soon as that news comes out, things spike quite a bit, even though there were there were increases before, up and down, and then here come the increases of the playoffs get closer, and then retirement's announced.
Yeah, and actually so you'll see in other ones, generally the week after they lose is when you see the drop off in sales. And even though he lost, we see an increase. So you can attribute a lot of the increase to the retirement announcement.
And he is Tom Brady, so there's something to be said for that. Okay, let's go to the next one. We have Aaron Rodgers here. So this is great. I mean, a big spike when there's a win, some potential to maybe go to the Super Bowl or move on, and then just a massive drop. So what do you make of this?
I think this is actually another example. Both Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers have more going on than just their wins and losses. Aaron Rodgers was in the news with a lot of negative press, and you see his drop premature. So he had a win, and his sales still decreased, and then he lost, and they decreased even more.
Yeah. And I wanted this, I kind of wish that I knew exactly what happened each of these weeks, and I didn't have time to go through and figure that out. So I'm sure some people watching in the chat or listening. Well, if you're listening, you're not seeing these graphs, so I apologize.
And for reference, if you do want to analyze these, what I did for each week is I looked at the data from Saturday through Friday. So it's not like a Sunday to Sunday week, because a lot of games happen on Saturday. So basically you see people will buy cards leading up to the game and excitement for the game. They'll buy cards during the game, and then after the loss or the win, things will go up or down, and that'll kind of fizzle out throughout the week. What happens during there's a lot of increased activity on weekends for football, not surprisingly. And so what I did is I just lumped all of the weekdays in with the previous weekend.
Makes sense. Yep. Okay. And I'm sure that a lot of people watching will be able to make sort of better heads or tails, or even provide a better analysis of some of this than we're doing it justice for right now, but still fun to present it. Let's keep going. Here's Justin Herbert, one of the big up and comers in the league. And I mean, we have this huge increase over here, this huge run up, and I'm guessing he won some games in weeks 3, 4, and 5, a massive drop here, and then pretty steady throughout. So again, I don't really have much commentary on Justin Herbert here, but is there anything else that when you were putting this together, Tim, that jumped out at you?
It is interesting to see that, and maybe I don't know how much this is because of activity, but it's just interesting to see how some weeks people are buying higher dollar items. You can tell that because the dollars, the orange line is above the blue line. So people are are paying a premium. They're buying more expensive items. And when it goes up, you can see in the last week or this last week and in that spike, people were buying the big ticket items. They weren't just buying things in bulk. They, at least in this case, maybe when they wanted to speculate, they bought the bigger ticket items to speculate.
All right, let's see who's next. I'm not sure. Who do we have next? Joe Burrow. This should be fun. Oh, you can already see the orange peeking up from the bottom there, everybody, but let's show the whole thing. So this is not surprising at all. And it also, it's so easy to get caught up in the hype and to get caught up in the excitement, right? And you can see how many people, both the orange and the blue, just spiked last week, it looks like. And so, I don't know what's going to happen to the right of this graph, but I just lets you know that, you sure wish you got in weeks 11, 12, 13, 14 there. But what does this tell you, Tim?
Well, here it's, again, both numbers are spiking together. So people are just buying everything. They're buying all of his cards, not just the high-end cards. And again, I mentioned speculation tends to, and you could actually see this a little bit. I think some people were speculating in week 18 because they bought bigger ticket items. But now it's not, I mean, yes, it's a little bit of speculation of like, I hope that he's going to win. But a lot of people are just buying it because they like Joe Burrow because he's doing something phenomenal. His team is getting further in. He's accomplished. You're not speculating when it's based on accomplishments. So that I would think that the fact that many cards sold across all price points, then it means like it's not like people are fans. Like they became fans. They wanted to buy his cards.
Makes sense. I mean, he's got some swag too, so it doesn't surprise me at all.
And I do have to say one caveat. I don't follow football at all, so I'm making up this 100%. Like literally, all of this is made up. I don't have any clue. I've never watched Joe Burrow play a game, so that's just me looking at the numbers and speculating.
Right, but I mean, just looking at this graph, it was like which one was it up here for Justin Herbert? I mean, I don't remember what happened. I wasn't following Herbert early in the season. I'm not a huge football fan either, but this here tells me that he was winning games, or he had a big game, threw for 5 TDs or 400 yards or something like that. So you can tell a lot by looking at the data without having firsthand information or being a fan and following it week to week. So there's Joe Burrow. This one I was expecting to see that. And next we have Patrick Mahomes. So this is a fun one. Well, fun. I don't want to say fun. If you're invested, I don't think it's fun to say. But you obviously have playoffs coming. You get into the playoffs, you win the first game, and then you lose, and the attention turns from Patrick Mahomes to Joe Burrow. Is that how you interpret this?
Yes, I think that it's also interesting to note this was actually one of the highlights I did see, and I totally understand why the prices went crazy after the division championships. But it's interesting, even when things cooled off after his loss, it's still higher than it was previously. Like it didn't just drop off the planet. Like it's still a higher pace. It'll be interesting to see how it trends going forward, but he's clearly an amazing quarterback.
Definitely. And you know what? It brings me back to last year when his cards were spiking going into the Super Bowl, wins the Super Bowl, and then they fall down. They fall off. It seems like the best time, the worst time to buy is when everybody's buying. Joe right now is probably not the best time to buy Joe Burrow. You're better off to wait a couple days, wait until the Super Bowl's over. If he wins the Super Bowl, the best time to buy Joe Burrow is not over the next week. The best time to buy, well, listen, if he wins the Super Bowl, actually, it doesn't even matter what happens in the Super Bowl. Right now is not the best time to buy Joe Burrow, I don't think.
One of the quotes that I heard from a manager I had a long time ago, he was speaking about the stock market. He said, people buy on speculation and they sell on fact. And that happens with cards as well. As people are going into a game, there's excitement, there's interest. Once the event happens, then it's it's behind. Now there could be some phenomenal thing that happens that caught people by surprise, and things can continue going up from there. But usually people over speculate. They get really excited going up, and even if they win, like we saw this with Giannis. Giannis wins the MVP, and his cards didn't continue going up in value.
Yeah, right. And I wonder if part of it is because this stuff is as we say, it's already baked in.
Yeah,
so.
People figured it's going to happen. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
All right, let's see who's next on here. Josh Allen. Okay, so I look at up, down, win, loss. That's what I'm seeing. I don't remember what happened, but I bet we go win, loss. Nothing crazy impressive. And then, playoffs come, spike. Well, these are spikes. These are more just, rises, increases, and then lose and come back down. Again, I believe it's attention shifting. I think you could put it all onto Joe Burrow. Take away the Josh Allen, the Patrick Mahomes. I think it all went to Joe Burrow. Sort of makes sense to me. And then what do we finish off here? Kyler Murray. That's just a dirty looking graph with some crazy volatility.
Yeah.
I remember hearing how great he was all season long, and looks like there was a bit of ups and downs here, but I guess if you flatten this curve, it's just, going to kind of look like that or something like that.
Yeah, so you can see at the end of the season, it looks like people dumped his cards.
Yeah.
A huge increase in cards, but the amount of money spent was a lot less.
Willing to let them go for cheaper than before. And Matt Stafford, well, there we go. Someone who has had some recent success. I mean, looks like a lot of attention went to Matt Stafford, and he was dormant for, feels like a decade. It feels like no one was buying his cards were flat. So any insights on this graph?
Well, I mean, I didn't follow football. I didn't even know who was going to the Super Bowl. And I looked at these charts and I immediately knew who was going to the Super Bowl.
Exactly. All right. And I think the last one that you brought in was Dak Prescott. So I can't say much about Dak Prescott. I don't believe the Cowboys did much this season. So this is probably just a very representative chart and activity based on a season an unspectacular season.
Yeah, and you can see again right at the end of the season, week 18 going to wild card. All of a sudden, there's a spike in the volume of cards changing hands, but a decrease in the amount that people are spending. So someone was just offloading, didn't want to hold on to his cards until next season.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's end this part of the show there. That's some interesting stuff. Now, a couple comments came out of it that I want to bring up. So Darren here says, any new analytical tools that COMC might be affording account holders? And I mean, it's a great question to ask at this time, because here we are looking at data. I'm not surprised that Darren asked this question.
There may be something that we release before the website gets rewritten. This is the thing I was hinting at. We have built some features that give you some insights into historical data. It's not necessarily powerful analytics tools that some other companies offer, but just to give you some more insight into historical trends, we do have a feature that's built. And as I mentioned, we're working on some of the tech infrastructure as we feel confident that the site can handle some of the extra demands for some of this analytics. We hope to launch that probably before we do the complete website rewrite. So there likely will be something here this year.
That's awesome. Darren makes another comment, and he's referring to this right here. It says, yeah, that graph pretty much describes all of us Packers fans' belief in ever winning another Super Bowl. Sorry for that situation for you, Darren. Okay, keeping on moving here. Rich Klein says, Joe Burrow has more playoff wins as a quarterback in 15 days than Dak Prescott in 6 seasons. Zigra says there are apps out there trying to charge you for this sort of info. Very cool. Would be sort of interesting to see information like this on some second tier stars players, not just the top names. Fair comment, Zigra. Fair comment. Beavis says Mahomes, Brady, Giannis baked in. Could Burrow be the exception first player to get to champ level since the hobby explosion? I mean, maybe you got to think about it, but yeah, I mean, he's well, he was the first pick overall, so that, you know, it's not like he came out of left field, but he is definitely doing well, really kind of right out of the gate. So good for Joe Burrow for sure. All right, good stuff, everybody. Awesome. Let me just have a quick look at my notes here, Tim, and see if there was anything else that we wanted to chat before we wrap up. We're at an hour and 50, so I don't mind keeping you for another 10 minutes or so. Why don't we kind of end with this topic? A couple of things, actually. So your general feel for the temperature of the hobby as we move into 2022. Are you bullish on the hobby still?
I think it is going to continue to increase throughout this year, not at the same pace as the last 2 years, but faster than it increased prior. I'm very bullish long-term. The whims of any given week or month with the macro environment are hard to predict.
Yeah, agree. You know, we talked about it a bit earlier. I'm going to make a prediction. I think 2022 will be crazier just overall in terms of headlines and newsworthy events and transactions. Listen, the Fanatics news, the Fanatics basically hijacking the licenses right out from under Topps and Panini was to me, it's the biggest news I've ever heard in the hobby. Then Fanatics acquiring Topps. I mean, that's huge news, but in hindsight, it's like obvious. Obviously, it makes so much sense that they buy Topps versus Panini or even Upper Deck, because Topps is Americana. It makes sense.
I think it was important for that to happen. There's so much worry when people thought, like, what if Topps baseball cards don't exist? Like, most of us in the hobby have never lived a day without Topps baseball cards. So, like, the thought of a future without Topps baseball cards does, like, make people question what they're collecting. So I think knowing that Topps is in good hands for the long-term future is good for the hobby.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me as well. It did. It just made so much sense when that was announced. Like, well, yeah, obviously they're going to buy Topps, right? Are you going to be at the Mint Collective in March in Las Vegas?
Yes, I will be there. We have a few of us that are going to that. So yeah, I will be at the Mint Collective.
All right, good. I look forward to seeing you there. All right, well, listen, anything else you wanted to discuss or tell the audience or speak to your customers directly on while we have you here? Because we're going to wrap this up.
Yeah, I guess one thing that would be kind of cool, this year we did a exercise to really figure out what COMC's core values are. I mentioned our mission is to optimize joy for collectors, but we wanted to think about what are the key things that are super important for us as a company, some things that we look for in employees that we want to hire, and we want to make sure are just foundational principles at COMC. And what we came up with, and this was a collaboration with the executive team at COMC and some key team members throughout COMC, is our foundation at COMC is that we are integrous. So integrity is the base foundation that everything is built on. Every customer needs to be able to trust us. We need to be able to trust our employees. So that's a key for us. On top of that, we layer loyalty. Loyalty is super important. We want to make sure that we're taking care of our customers. We want to make sure each of you wants to come back. It's harder to win a customer than it is to keep a customer. It's harder to find a new employee than to keep an employee. So loyalty is another foundational principle for COMC. On top of that, if you've used any of our shipping or listing services, you'll understand why accuracy is super important for us. So the next key core value for COMC is accuracy. We make sure all of our employees, when they're coming up to speed, when they're learning things, they focus on doing things accurately. And then the next piece is layering on efficiency. We want to offer our service to as many people as possible. So we make sure all of our employees are looking to increase their efficiency so that we can offer the service as cost competitively as possible. And to do that, we often need to do innovation. So that's our next core value at COMC. So we have these layers of be accurate, be efficient, and innovate. Think outside the box. How can we do things so that we can improve, not just repeating the same thing before, but change things up? And so we want all the employees at the company to look for ways to be innovative. And the top thing, the last core value at COMC is that we have fun. So if we're trying to make joy for our customers a priority, we better not just like put our heads down and get burnt out. We have to have fun as well. So that's the core that COMC is building on. If you want to come join COMC and be a part of this culture, we welcome you. And then as collectors, people enjoying our services, I want you to know what culture we're building, what we're trying to do to help make sure that we can be here for you for the long term. So that's kind of the last thing I wanted to wrap up with here.
All right. No, that's great. I mean, Albert Jones says, love the mission, goals, values of COMC. I think you articulated them well. And you know, it's one thing to say them and announce them, and then it's another thing to do them. And I have full faith that you will. I know what kind of person you are. And so I have faith in you guys. And I think part of it is that, you know, you don't want to get caught again, like everybody did, with a crazy change in the world that kind of turns you upside down. So I think by rolling out the mission, the goals, the values, being integrous is going to help you, really handle the next big, if there is ever again something like we saw in 2020, should put you in a better position for that. We're going to just a couple more. Oh, and you did mention earlier. So Malka LaBelle says, I need a job. So to Malka and anyone else out there, Tim did mention earlier, if you do want a job, send your resume to, I think you said hr@comc.com.
Yep.
hr@comc.com, and just let them know what your skills are if it's not for any particular job posting that they have. Jake's Toe wants to know, where is COMC located? I'll let you answer that one.
We are in the Seattle area. We also, I mentioned, have an office in Canada, in the Vancouver area. And we have employees all over the US and Canada. Many of our job openings can be done remotely. And so, yeah, it's right outside of the Seattle area.
Okay, there we go. This is going backwards a little bit, but any hints you can give us as to the biggest growth year to date on COMC by category? Soccer, wrestling, racing, UFC, hockey, football.
I'd have to go look at the numbers. I know, honestly, those categories were the largest the last time I checked. I was on a podcast like 6 months ago, and wrestling and soccer stood out. But I haven't looked recently, so I don't know that off the top of my head.
All right. Okay. No problem. Frank Schneider. Thanks, Tim and Jeremy. Fantastic show. Thank you, Frank Schneider. Skeppy says, thank you, Tim. Excellent. Thank you, Skeppy. As always, Malka, thank you for joining. Lots of check marks. Jake's Toe is in Spokane. There you go. Not too far away. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode, guys. Look at the ticker. It's been rolling pretty much all night. Follow COMC on Instagram at @checkoutmycards for latest updates, events, and promotions. And check out the show calendar. Yeah. I always love seeing Barry at the Expo. And I know previously the Summit, I'm sure he'll be at the Expo in Edmonton in April, the Expo in Toronto in June. Looking forward to that. So, and people, they're asking if there's after hours. Oh, Rich Klein says, fun show. Thank you very much. There's no plan for an after hours show, everybody, but I mean, I guess I could come back and just have some, chat interaction. So keep your eye on the channel for the next 15 or so minutes. And if I pop back up, I pop back up. But but no promises. I do want to open up these Three's Company cards, so maybe we'll do that. We'll let Tim go and perhaps be back. Thank you, Darren. Appreciate that. Thank you, Jake. Appreciate that as well. I love this guy's name, Jake's Toe. For all I know, his first name is Jake. His last name is Stowe, but I read it as Jake's Toe. All right. Polka heading to the casino. Green turns to gold. Good luck. Good luck at the casino. All right. Tim, this was great. You're good?
Yes, we're good.
All right. I appreciate you coming on again. This has been a lot of fun. I think we provided some great information. You did to the chat, to the audience, to your customers who did tune in. Darren is holding up his lighter right now, like you would at a concert. Love it, Darren. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Stay tuned in case I'm back for after hours in like 10 minutes max. We'll see. Probably will. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Collectible live tomorrow on the Collectible TV YouTube channel, 7 o'clock Eastern. Looking forward to that. A very cool ticket collector will be joining. So lots to learn there. Burry Klein, looking forward to that. And again, next week on the show, Nick Sapiro. All right, Tim, you hang tight right there. Everybody, very good night. A couple comments before I end it, though. Tower says, great show. Appreciate the open dialogue. Yeah, that was great. Rock Latex says, chat seems friendlier this time when compared to the last time. That's really no surprise. Comsie has made great strides, and I'm proud to have Tim on and be able to present him to everybody here tonight. All right, guys. Tim, hang tight. Everybody else, thank you for tuning in. This show is over.